The Shaolin Boy 2021. Just imagine for a second what would happen if a genuine Shaolin-trained warrior suddenly found himself sitting in an ordinary school full of regular kids. That's exactly the kind of chaos our story today is built around. Our story begins with a boy named Li, a young disciple raised inside a Shaolin training temple where he had been learning kung fu since the day he was born. One day, Li walked into the temple hall and quietly bowed before the shrine, silently apologizing in advance, because he had a feeling that what he was about to do might not turn out to be the right decision. At that very moment, a warrior launched a surprise attack on him from the side. Startled by the sudden strike, Li still managed to hold his ground and defend himself. The warrior slammed him against the wall, but Li bounced right back, twisting through the air to counter the warrior's next strike, and within moments, he had defeated him. Next came a swordsman. Li, using nothing but his own skill and technique, brought him down just as easily. Then came a third opponent, this one seated in meditation. Even though he appeared calm, the moment he heard Li approaching, he flung his prayer beads straight at him, striking Li's eyes and knocking him to the ground. Just as the warrior was about to land a finishing blow, Li slipped away at the last second, and the two of them plunged into an intense battle. In the end, victory belonged to Li. He bowed respectfully before the temple shrine and walked out. His teacher then informed him that he had displayed the greatest skill of anyone during the trial, which meant he had earned the rare opportunity to attend a new school in the city. There, he would be staying with a family of three, two children and their father. That father happened to be a scientist who was personally acquainted with Li's temple teacher. With that, Li set off toward his new life in the city. At his new school, there was a 15-year-old boy named Feng, a skilled taekwondo athlete. His younger sister, Shan, adored her brother deeply and ran the school's taekwondo club. She would watch his matches closely and point out his mistakes afterward, always pushing him to become better. Feng also had another close friend, a boy named Yu, who was famously obsessed with food and thought about little else besides eating. The four of them got along wonderfully and lived close to one another. Their father, Dr. Han, worked incredibly hard at his job. His wife had passed away years earlier, so he threw himself into his work to cope. He was currently developing a special device, one that had caught the attention of a dangerous gang operating in the city. Dr. Han called his children to let them know he wouldn't be home, which upset Shan, since her father was almost never around. He promised he'd come see them soon and asked them to open the gift he had sent home in the meantime. What was actually inside that package was the very device the gang was after. Just then, Li knocked on the door, and Shan welcomed him inside, showing him to his new room. Meanwhile, back at the lab, the gang had already captured Dr. Han. Their leader, Larry, threatened him and demanded he hand over the device. Han insisted no such separate device existed, explaining that what he was actually working on was an AI voice technology that would let his kids talk to a robot using their late mother's voice. Larry refused to believe him. After reviewing the security footage, he realized someone had already taken it upon themselves to steal the device. Two of Larry's men, Sloth and Fist, were thrilled. Since this was their very first real mission as gang members, they disguised themselves in strange outfits and staked out in front of Shan's house. One of them wanted to sneak in that same night, but the other pointed out that the kids would be heading off to school soon anyway, so it made more sense to grab it during the day. Back at the house, Li was slowly adjusting to city life. He noticed Shan watching a taekwondo match and found himself intrigued by the sport. That night, while he was trying to meditate, Yu's video game noises sparked an argument between the two of them, though it wasn't long before they were both happily playing together instead. Meanwhile, in her room, Shan finally opened her gift box and found a small panda figurine inside. She had no idea it was actually a pen drive, the very thing the gang had been chasing after for so long. When she pressed the button, the panda asked her to set a password. Confused, she muttered something like, "What kind of password is this?" And without realizing it, that exact phrase became the password. Once activated, she discovered the panda spoke in an AI-generated voice modeled after her mother. The next morning, Li headed off to school with Yu and Shan for his very first day. The two disguised gang members spotted the kids leaving and decided it was finally time to act. But one of them noticed the panda charm dangling from Shan's bag and began plotting how to snatch it from her. Along the way, Shan introduced Li to Feng. In that same moment, one of the gang members quietly grabbed the panda charm and made a run for it. Li spotted him instantly and, with impressive speed, caught the thief. Feng jumped in to help, and together they gave the crook a solid beating. Still, the gang member refused to give up and made another attempt to steal the panda before fleeing again. This time, all the kids teamed up, stuffed him into a trash can, and sent him rolling down the street. When they finally arrived at school, Lee's new classmates were stunned to see an actual Shaolin warrior standing in front of them. They bombarded him with all sorts of questions, some asking if he could ever get married, others begging him to show off his kung fu skills right there on the spot. Eventually, the teacher stepped in and told them that kind of thing belonged in the playground, not the classroom. During recess, their coach announced that a fitness and skills assessment was coming up the following month, and any student who failed it wouldn't be allowed to move up to the next class. This news hit you hard, since he was seriously overweight and struggled with basic physical activity. When the coach had them run a 100-meter lap, Lee finished 2 full laps before most of the other kids had even completed their first. Next came push-ups, another area where Lee excelled effortlessly, cranking out over 100, while most classmates could barely manage a couple. He even switched to one-armed push-ups just to keep things interesting, leaving everyone amazed. Then came the high jump, an event that came naturally to Lee, while poor Yu could barely get his feet off the ground. Meanwhile, back at the hideout, Larry had tied Dr. Han to a chair and was tormenting him by pelting him with golf balls. That night, the 2 gang members snuck back toward Shanshan's house, hoping for another chance. Lee spotted them first and hid behind a toy, trying to scare them off, but they noticed him almost immediately and attacked. By the time Shanshan arrived, the gang members had already grabbed the panda and disappeared into the night. Lee tried explaining everything to Feng and Yu, but the 2 of them just assumed he was joking around. Later, it turned out the 2 gang members had accidentally grabbed a perfume bottle that looked almost identical to the panda charm, and to make matters worse, they'd filled their own mouths with golf balls by mistake. Larry, meanwhile, was under serious pressure. He had only 3 days left to sell the special device to a buyer, and his patience was wearing thin. Furious, he took his frustration out on the 2 bumbling gang members, using more golf balls, then ordered them to retrieve the real device without delay. The next day at school, everyone gathered to watch an exciting taekwondo match, with Yu and Shanshan seated behind 2 unusually rough-looking girls, who were, in fact, the same 2 disguised gang members from before. They spotted the real panda charm hanging from Shanshan's bag and began waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Right then, Lee challenged Feng to a friendly sparring match, and the entire crowd rushed over to watch the exciting showdown. Taking advantage of the distraction, the gang members tried once again to snatch the panda, but this time their fake hair got tangled and gave them away. Meanwhile, the match between Lee and Feng had turned into an intense, closely matched battle, with neither one gaining a clear advantage. Eventually, they mutually agreed to stop before anyone got seriously hurt, and the match ended in a respectful draw. Right after that, everyone turned around and instantly recognized the 2 disguised thieves. The kids charged at them together, but the gang members threatened to hurt one of the girls unless they backed off and used the chance to escape with the panda device in hand. The children rushed straight to the principal's office and called the police, explaining the entire situation. Lee blamed himself for everything, believing that if he hadn't challenged Feng to that match, Shanshan never would have wandered away from her bag. But his friends reassured him that it wasn't his fault at all. With the device finally in his possession, Larry tried running a program on his computer, only to discover it required a password, one he had no way of knowing. He brought in hackers to try cracking it, but even after an entire day of effort, they got nowhere. His anger was reaching its boiling point. That's when he came across a message on Dr. Han's phone, Shanshan asking her father to please come home for her birthday the next day. Seizing the opportunity, Larry replied pretending to be Dr. Han, promising he'd be there. The following day, Shanshan and her friends were busy preparing for her birthday celebration. The others left her alone at home while they went out to buy gifts. Suddenly, she received a message claiming her father had arrived outside. But the moment she stepped out the door, someone grabbed her and forced her into a waiting vehicle. Lee and his friends happened to spot the van and immediately took off after it on their bikes. They eventually tracked the vehicle to Dr. Han's laboratory, where they found Shanshan in tears. Inside, Larry was in a heated argument with his business partner, since the deal to sell the device was supposed to happen that very day, and he still didn't have the password. Frustrated and desperate, Larry pressed a knife to Shanshan's throat and demanded she give it up. She replied, almost instinctively, "What kind of password is this?" And at that exact moment, the device unlocked and the program activated. Outside, the 2 original gang members were on guard duty. Lee and Feng took them down in a matter of seconds. But then they ran into Bradley, Larry's most dangerous henchman, a genuinely skilled fighter who proved too tough for the two boys to handle even together. Inside the lab, Larry's deal was just about to go through when Yu quietly slipped in and freed both his sister and his father. He then jumped straight into the fight against the remaining gang members. At the same time, Larry attempted to flee with the device tucked under his arm, but Dr. Han, Yu, and Shan Shan worked together to stop him and beat him down. Meanwhile, Feng finally got the upper hand against Bradley with Li's help, and together the two of them managed to take him down for good. Not long after, the police arrived and arrested every last member of the gang. In the end, the principal awarded medals to both Li and Yu for their incredible bravery. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video.